Disclaimer before watching this video. There is a bad case of the red eye that we happened to catch after recording this video. We are sorry about that, guys. I still encourage you guys to stick around and listen to the audio of this as we talk in detail about some of Biden's executive orders. But again, I apologize for the red eye, but the show must go on. So if you do not want to see the red eye, just listen to the audio and let's go ahead and get right into the video. All those people that took all their food, all those people that are in bunkers right now, you can come out because we're safe. I promise you we're safe. Hey guys, welcome back to the Mr. R Show. Today we're going over all the initial executive orders, requests, proclamations, all the sort coming out of Joe Biden's Oval Office. Join us today, as always. I'm your host, Andy. With me,
I'm Ashton.
So let's go ahead and dive right in. It was a busy first day. It was very active. Joe Biden was not going to be a, let's say, sleepy president the first day after his inauguration, the parties, the singers, but he made time to go back and sign many executive orders, a lot of it doing with some of Trump stuff, a lot of it with COVID. But we're going to go ahead, we're going to read them all. We're going to give our reaction because I know if you've watched this channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you like what you've seen so far and you like our channel. Just, reminder there. But if you've watched our previous videos, you know that we were not the happiest duo when it came to the former president, Donald Trump. But we're not going to be a channel that is biased one political party, one political side to the other. We're going to criticize every single president, every single senator, every single person that we disagree with. And Biden's not going to be any exception. We're going to go through his executive orders, his proclamations, his mandates, everything, and give you our honest opinions on it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and kick it off. The first thing Biden did was he was going to re-engage with the World Health Organization. That's a simple one. We don't gotta touch too much on that one, Ashton. I think both me and you agree. It's simple, something you can do, and no need to get away from it. It's not some kind of conspiracy organization. It's just to help extra security measure to keep us safe, the world safe. So simple, that gets
It's another tool in the federal tool bag to kind of take on these pandemics. Yes, I get the whole argument that people have that, well, they let kind of China get away with it. China shouldn't be a part of it. They kind of fed into China's lies. Yes, it's not perfect. It has a big issue. When you're a part of the world, you have to work with countries you don't like and have them involved if you want to have any say or have any inkling of what's going on in their borders. So that's a part of dealing with the international community. But that doesn't mean you draw back and do nothing. We definitely need to be a part of it so it can help us prepare for the future.
First official executive order he signed was to create a position of a COVID-19 response director. Again, it's simple. You need to do it. Should have been there with COVID, so you don't got to spend time with it. So far, 2 for 2, and just check marks from us. The first major one that has nothing to do with COVID is to rejoin the Paris Climate Agreement. I know me and you kind of differ on what it is, but I think we both agree that the Paris Climate Accord is not a end-all be-all when it comes to climate change. It is just a step in the right direction. We understand, at least I understand, that it cannot enforce. It's more of a suggestion, and it can, some senators want to say, creates disadvantages for us. I don't see it that way. I think it's a step in the right direction to curing the climate change in our borders. Sometimes you can only control what you can control, and you want to be good with that kind of stuff. And so I'm all for it. I'm very happy. I was much against many of the former administration's environmental policies, anything to do with the fossil fuel industry, all of it. Just, I hated what he did with it. So it's good to see Biden already starting back one of his promises, which was to rejoin the Paris Climate Agreement. So no problem there for me.
Yeah, it's a very simple agreement. Nothing is binding. Anyone who tells you that is straight up lying to you. It's just a kind of agreed upon rule set by which the international community should try to govern by. It doesn't mean it's enforceable. No one's going to enforce it. It just means that's what we should strive to be. And on top of that, I'm hating the arguments from certain senators trying to say that Paris is somehow trying to control Pennsylvania, while that same senator tried to throw out all the Pennsylvanian votes for
If
no
you don't know
reason.
which senator we're talking about, that is Ted Cruz of Texas
We
trying to
don't have to
say,
say his
I
name.
will say his name because he's one of the people that should be very investigated with what was happened in. And I see what you're saying. It was his argument is, why are you supporting the people of Paris and not your own? It was stupid. It sounds like he just doesn't know what he's talking about. It's like saying the Treaty of
Oh, he
Versailles
knows. He
was for
knows.
Versailles. It's just not. It's just not
He
smart.
knows what he's talking about.
Moving on, another climate executive order from Biden. He revoking the permit for the Keystone Access Pipeline, the XL pipeline. Very, very happy about that. I hated that pipeline 100%. I know Canada's not too thrilled about that. It kind of had some partnership with them, and also, obviously the oil industry is not going to be too happy. But I don't care. It's another climate change step in the right path forward. Happy 4 out of 4 for me so far, Ashton. I mean, a major thing with that is it was environmentally damaging to the land. On top of that, it took land from Native American populations in that area. So it was a travesty for me. I'm glad it's gonna stop being used. Obviously, it's gonna be kind of hard just to instantly demolish it. You not can't really do that, but it's not gonna be used anymore. So that's a step in the right direction.
This one is a kind of 50-50 with me. While I appreciate the environmental impact this will have, it the pipeline to start out with was completely done wrong. It should never taken lands of Native Americans, which the government promised them and then keeps on promising them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm to a point where I think we should add constitutional amendment giving those people their land and
It's
make it
mm-hmm.
legally binding, where the Constitution says they deserve that land. Um, Another thing is the pipeline itself. It's there. You might as well use it. The sections that are there, unless if it's some of that native land we're talking about, then you can reroute it, spend the money to build new sections, stuff like that.
Like they're gonna spend the money to do that. I mean,
Oh.
it's just. I'm glad with it. I know I can see the negative of like, oh, it's just there now, but to me, it's should never have been built in the first place. But here we are. What are we gonna do? Pick up the pieces. So
Yeah.
the next two things we're gonna talk about are more of a request, but it still was the day one docket for Biden. We just kind of want to address that. He asked agencies to extend the eviction foreclosure morandums just to
Common sense.
make sense. You really can't force people out of their apartment if they can't pay
Yeah.
for it because a job status that they can't control. It's messy. I know it's kind of it's kind of a gray area. We've never been here really before. Very very limited before, but you can't punish people if they cannot control what they can't control. You can control what you can control, but you can't COVID something else. So I like that. He's asking the education department to extend student loan pauses like that too. It's simple. The students are struggling because their parents are struggling, and it's harder for students to keep jobs if places like the fast food
Oh
industry
yeah.
is closing because they can't afford stuff. Let's say you go to Disney and they didn't have their student program, so it makes sense. The next two are also executive orders going back to them. He's launching an initiative to advance the racial equity ending that 1776 commission, that the kind of controversial thing that Trump tried to do in his last I believe it was his last year in office, just trying to, I'm not going to say whitewash history, but it was close to that line.
Glorify people who don't necessarily need to be glorified. Like, here's the thing about history. A lot of our founding fathers were great people, but you have to take it. You have to be honest with who they were, and you have to put it in context of that time period. People owned slaves in that time period, and it's not saying owning slaves was right or wrong. You just can't ignore that fact, though, and you
Yeah.
can't just try to make them out as people who had their own problems in their own time, but also had their own problems in what is now right and wrong.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. You can respect men, 100%. Washington, Jefferson,
Yeah.
great examples of those men that did so much for this country, good things. But we can acknowledge they are slave owners. They were racists of their time. That's okay to think of it that way. You don't have to pretend like it didn't happen. to make you feel, make yourselves feel better. You know, take away everything that's happened with the Native American population with Andrew Jackson or stuff like that. Make
It
it sound
doesn't
like it
make
was.
America any less great, because America, the thing that makes America great isn't our history, because we've made a lot of mistakes in our history.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't shock anyone by saying that. It should be the fact that we recognize that and we changed from it. That
Mm-hmm.
is American greatness, being able to realize that you made a mistake and change course and try to do better the next day. So that's definitely something that it's common sense, and people need to stop trying to wipe out history. And I know a lot of people think that means don't remove Confederate monuments.
That's a topic for another
Yeah.
video that we can do. If you guys want us to, leave in the comments if you want us to make a video about the monuments, even though I know I've seen our previous videos. We get a lot of dislikes, and I know from which side of the aisle it is. Weird that they're watching us. I guess they just want to watch us to hate on us, but that's fine. It doesn't bother us because we're going to tell our opinion how it is. But next up, he revoked the order to Ames to exclude undocumented immigrants from the census. I mean, I get that. I mean,
They are people.
they're in this country. They're taking.
They're people.
They're paying taxes, not income taxes, but they're paying sales tax when they buy stuff. People forget that. Like, I kind of think of the same way. You know, Florida has. They don't have a state income tax, right? So like, it's similar to Floridians. Just they don't pay to the federal income tax. But we'll fix that. That's later on. But they should be counted towards censuses because you need to know how to delegate resources if there's more people in your area. It just makes sense. This one is a memorandum, preserve / fortify the DACA, which helps dreamers. I know the Trump administration was trying to get rid of DACA quickly. They kept failing in the court system, so it's going to be most likely expanded under the Biden administration, if you like it or not. A executive order requiring mask and distancing on all federal property and by all federal workers. Simple.
Common sense.
I like it. He can't force the entire country to, so he's going to do it where he can, and that is his own federal land. Makes sense. Happy with that. He's going to reverse the travel ban targeting primarily Muslim countries. I don't have a problem with that. I understand the original Muslim ban was very controversial because it was at first and second and maybe even third about religion, solely about Islam and the extremist Muslims, and trying to pretend like
Islam.
every single Muslim is some kind of American hating bomb making person, which is not true. It just, they have to do it the right way. They're not just going to be able to come over here with a free pass. If you want a quota system, I can get that, but they shouldn't be banned from trying to come make their life in the best country in the world. I think everybody wants that opportunity. A proclamation. He wants to stop the construction of the border wall, which I understand it was not the best constructed border wall, and kind of a
They did. I don't even think
legal
they
mess with the way he diverted funds, because he did it wasn't like a national state of emergency, and he deviated funds over
from the military. He
is
took away from the building fund for the military, which people don't know. The military doesn't get unlimited money to build schools and roads and bases. That comes from a fund. And that is where he was taking money, not even enough to build the full wall,
not
just
even a good wall.
Not enough to build a full wall. He was just taking it to basically satisfy that criteria that people think he was trying to build it. He needed some money, so he stole it from the military. And that is what he did. He stole it because it says in the Constitution, Congress holds the power of the purse strings. Nothing gave him the right to take that money.
I know you're going to have people defending and saying he's the commander-in-chief of the army, but that's not, the Constitution doesn't give him the power of levying funds.
Yeah, that wasn't a defense thing, and that's going to bite Republicans in the butt. I'm going to tell you now. I said this back then. I'll say it now. When Democrats declare a climate emergency and start diverting military funds for a bunch of their eco-friendly projects, don't complain. You have no right to complain because you defended it like Trump, but we know how some people like to just completely ignore reality with Trump and do it for everyone else. Different standards.
Combat discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation, gender identity. I mean, I knew that was coming. That's a major left talking point. I get it. It makes sense. Not negative there. Not much to talk about. It's just, equality, pushing for that. Require ethics pledge for executive branch personnel. I feel like that's just kind of. I get the meaning behind it. I feel like that's a little pointless to me. I feel like it's just a waste. But I mean, I guess power to them. I mean, it's not like it's a bad thing. It's just kind of pointless. Can you agree with that?
I mean, if it's legally binding, I think there should be ethics about like
Is pledging?
trading.
I mean, I guess it could be legally binding.
I don't know if it's legally binding or not. It should be. That's my opinion because we had some, let's say, not so straight characters in the Trump administration.
We got, I think, a couple more on his opening day, and we'll get to more later on as the weeks progress. But
Hmm.
modernize and improve. This is just a memorandum again, not an executive order. But modernize and improve regulatory review. That's good things we need after a previous messed up administration. This is an
Hmm.
executive order which is in harsh and extreme immigration enforcement. That's all in quotations. Um, I like that.
Child separation.
ICE did some messed up things. We're not going to get into that
Yep.
fully, but I mean, you saw in the debates when they argued about who put child in cages first, which is sad that's they have to like defend each other by saying who put less children in cages. So we'll just move on from there and say it from there. Another memorandum: extend protection from deportation for Liberians in U.S. Two more things we'll get to real quick. Executive order is revoking certain executive orders concerning federal regulation. And one more memorandum, which is freeze any new or pending regulations. Ashton, I see his first initial executive orders, memorandums, any other requests as basic things that were promised in
Hmm.
his campaign. It's not anything
Are
overarching,
are
nothing.
you telling me the communists haven't taken over yet?
All those people that took all their food, all those people that are in bunkers right now, you can come out because we're safe. I promise you, we're safe. But
Joe
it,
Biden is a old white guy doing his best, really, who's a moderate. Like you really don't see anything in that list that jumps out as, oh, Green New Deal implemented today, after gun assault rifle ban implemented today, after you can't drive your car, must buy Tesla after
no,
today.
I think a
Like,
lot of people were worried about the whole mandate a mask, and he's gonna force. He's not going to. We've already seen he did what he
he
could do.
couldn't.
He will request you. He had his 100-day, which isn't an order, but just his plan, his 100 days mask up challenge, which he wants you to wear a mask. He can't force you. Local governments can force you. That is part of their duties. And
He is asking people in their local governments to enforce common sense, which, to be honest, it shouldn't even have to be passed or be a rule. It should just be everyone wants to stick this out together, get through it, and get done. And it's sad that we're to this moment that it's become political. It should never become political in the first place. Like, my wife's friend is from Germany, and she says Germans laugh at us because they don't know why this is a political thing over here.
Mhm.
It's just common sense to them. They're like, it is a virus that is caught by being close to people you don't know. You wear a mask
or
and you
people
stay
you do know.
away.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you at least try to limit it. No one's gonna stop it. It's still going on in Europe, but don't ignore it just because one person says it's not a big deal. That's all.
Overall, I will give Biden probably a grade of a B for all of his initial day plans, first and second day plans for him. It's nothing crazy like he's going like knocking it out of the park, but it's what he said he was going to do. All of them are sensible, common, makes complete sense to me. For most of them, if not all of them. We're going to see probably more as this gets on.
Hmm.
Him doing more things that me and Ashton don't like because I'm independent. He's more Republican than I am, but we still are in the middle or at least moderate and then closer to the right regardless. So
More
we're gonna
conservative.
see with things that we don't like from Biden. That's okay. We can disagree. There's nothing wrong with disagreeing. But so far I'm gonna give him a B and hopefully he continues and becomes a great president. We all can hope that.
Hmm. Yeah, more conservative, not Republican anymore. Yeah. So I'll say this. I'll give him a B plus. I like everything, and then most situations, I don't see how you could do any better with everything going on in the world. And on top of that, 2 weeks ago, we literally had our Capitol on fire. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of hard to get stuff done when your Capitol's burning. So I'll give Biden credit for doing as much as he can in the first days. We'll see if that keeps up. We'll see if he slows down. We'll see if he
Mm-hmm.
starts doing things we disagree with, which is possible. If anything, these last 4 years has shown us it's don't expect crazy things not to happen. So I want to thank everyone for watching. Please like and subscribe and comment down your opinion and like this video. I'm sure the people who don't like honest opinions will downvote us. But if you disagree, put an honest disagreement down there and let's have a civil debate. That's always great. Have a great day, guys.